I am Angela Argentina. That is my brand for myself as an artist, and I consider myself an artist, and in that I'm a creative entrepreneur. So like everything that I do is an art. So I also teach yoga. I'm a vegan chef, and I'm the founder of Kindred Kitchens, and that is like the art of cooking, which I'll explain a little bit more. And then I also have a contract with the first sustainable or like zero waste vegan meal kit in Toronto. So I'm like launching that right now. And that is also an art because I'm trying to create magic out of like this tight little budget and make it creative and fun for people. So that's really fun. And then everything that I do is just like, my background is actually advertising, which I'm not really into, but it was a good background for like understanding how people think and how they react to stuff. And as the art director in that, I just kind of draw upon, you know, my use of like media and stuff to really benefit my business today. So it's been a long time coming, and this is kind of how I wrapped it all together. So.
Well, what you're doing sounds amazing. What inspired you to focus on vegan?
Okay, that's a good question. So I wasn't always vegan. I've always kind of considered myself healthy, and then that was more mainly for like vanity and health reasons, you know, but I listened to my body when I was younger, and I just noticed that I thrived more off of plant-based, although I wasn't completely plant-based. Like I did when I was in university, I worked at the keg, and like I would never eat steak, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like a conscious thing, it was just me listening to my body. And then ironically, I was actually attacked by a friend's dog when I was in Argentina, and it bit me, and it was really bad. Like I've healed, but I had this huge like scar. And most people would be afraid of the dog, but I realized that it was the human that was at the fault there. And then shortly after that, I got into this kind of discussion with this vegan who challenged me on speciesism. And it was kind of at a time in my life where I was going through a lot of transitions anyways. And I started getting into more energy healing, and I really became like, I've always been conscious of, you know, what we're doing. And as an environmentalist, as somebody who cares, I actually do love animals. I don't have any, but I love plants too. And I love the environment. And I mean, I love humans. And if we want to survive on this planet, we have to learn how to be more sustainable and less impactful, because we just like waste and pollute so much. So in that sense, it is, veganism is the choice. And then energetically, like if I'm doing energy work on somebody, I wouldn't want to eat something that suffered and then transmute that energy into them. So it's like, I just believe everything is connected. So I just want to be clean. So, and high vibrational. So yeah.
Clean
So
is
just
always good.
thank you. Yeah. So, I've been vegan now for 5 years. And like with these new contracts, it's kind of funny because I've had, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're always like trying new things, or like you're chasing after this for a little bit. But, you know, a lot of what I'm working on now and like the projects that are manifesting were things that I was working on a long time ago, but I just wasn't ready. So I would like do trainings for something, but it was just too much work, or I didn't want to do all the logistics and stuff. Like I'm the creative, right? So now it's like all those little missing pieces are coming together. So it's like everything's kind of just falling into place. And yeah, it's great.
That is great. And I saw on your Instagram page for Kindred Kitchens that you're starting the CRISPR kits.
Yes. Yeah. So okay, so that is the zero waste delivery kit. So it's a do-it-yourself thing. So you know how like I got something from this one meal kit, and it's one of those ones that comes in like a big blocks, and then there's like 100 sheets of plastic and like these frozen things, and everything's wrapped in plastic, and you have to microwave it. And I was just like, ew, you know. And I actually took a video because I'm conscious of the plastic that we're doing, but like it's been imposed upon us as a society, and nobody's thinking about it because it's just, we're this disposable income. But it's like that all goes somewhere, that all goes to the ocean, and it doesn't go away. So it's the best thing we can do is refuse it, but there's no options for that. and I don't want to be contributing to the problem. That's why I got out of advertising. I'm like, I'm destroying the planet. So if I want to do something, like I want to do vegan food because it's more sustainable. I want to do it with local ingredients, and I want to teach people how to make their own food, but I also don't want to be contributing to like this mass pollution. So this guy actually got referred to me, and it's like, he comes from the sustainability factor, and we're just looking for like a plant-based chef. And then it was just everything aligned, because that's what I want to do if I was doing it. So yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Getting started as an entrepreneur, did you have a role model or have you had a mentor throughout the whole process?
Not throughout the whole process. I mean, I've kind of had some mentors, but I don't think I'm one of those people that's like super coachable, because I raised myself since I was 16, and I've kind of just done what I've always wanted to do, you know, and it kind of worked for me. But that being said, I'm not going to say that's the best way to go about it. And I've learned now that like you need systems and stuff. And so I'm in that point now where if I could tell my younger self, I would be like, get organized and make everything into templates, which I didn't do. But now I'm doing that, and everything's a lot more streamlined. But I totally forget what the question was. I'm so sorry.
No worries. That was a good story. I just asked about a role model or inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I've had lots of role models, depending on what kind of career I was in. You know, when I was in university, I would like the people who made the most creative ads. And then now I don't really watch any advertising at all. I'm immune to advertising. I just ignore it. But then when I went into health, like integrative nutrition, we had really some awesome doctors and stuff like that, and some influencers. David Avocado Wolf is like one of my favorite people, because he's like a raw foodie. And in terms of like fire and stuff, like I do a little bit of fire dancing just for fun. Those are people I actually know. They're just like so freaking talented and inspirational, and like they make me want to be a better performer because I watch them and just see the joy. Let's see, who else? I have a mentor now, and his name is Bobby, and he's in California, and he's like the business breakthrough boss. That's like his kind of thing. And if I could also tell my younger self to get a coach or a mentor to help me out earlier on, I would, because he would like pull stuff out of me that was in there, but he would make sense of it. You know, because in my mind, it's like, it's so hard to be subjective when you're like downloading stuff. Because I mean, I don't know about all entrepreneurs, but I'm a creative entrepreneur. So I feel like we're all kind of creative anyways. We're super innovative, but I get a lot of my inspiration from downloads. And then I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this in this third dimension? So I would just like be rambling on about all these things and talking all passionately. And he's like, okay, this and this and this. And then he like put it together. And he's like, and this is how you can package it. And I'm like, oh my God. So he's given me a lot of really good advice. And although I'm not actually doing sessions with him now, I'm still in his group, and like he still like always sends me stuff and is thinking of me. So I'm really grateful. I call him my business guru. So yeah.
Well, that is a lucky find.
Yeah, yeah. It was like one of those things, you know, when the student is ready to teach her peers. Because it was just like one day I just saw this ad he was running on Facebook, and then that was it. And I was like, this is the guy. This is my coach. So, yeah.
That is so cool. So you said you're a performer and a fire performer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the adventures I've had. Okay, so back when I was working in advertising a long time ago, it was like my first career when I first got out of university. And I really loved it in university because it was super creative, and I'd work on all these awesome brands, and they were good brands for good causes. And then you get out into the real world and you're working for, you know, these pharmaceutical companies, or these companies that have all these toxins, or Tim Hortons, or like Nestle, and all these things that are really just like these multinational corporations that exploit people and the planet and stuff like that. And anyways, and they didn't even have like, you know, we didn't even have a lot of freedom with the stuff. So it's like you come up with these like awesome ideas, and it just felt so unrewarding. And I was aware that it was like putting all of my energy into this stuff that people are hating, and it just didn't align with me, right? And during that year, I went on this trip, and I went on this adventure just to like escape like the Matrix. You know, this is my corporate life. And I didn't know what it was I was escaping, but I'm like, I have to get out of here. So I booked a trip to Thailand. And it was like my first adventure. I experienced so many like life changing miracles that happened there. But one of the things was I met this girl named Kelly on the island of Koh Phi Phi. And she was a fire dancer. And I'd already like gone through all this, like, you know, crazy stuff happened. Like I lost my money belt with all my money and passport and ID, and it all came back. And it was just like, I already had like a gazillion stories up until this point. And so I connected with her. I told her this story, but this guru that I met like randomly in Bangkok at the beginning told me I'd meet this girl named Kelly. And it didn't dawn on me until like, you know, I'd already like talked to her and we became like best buddies within like 5 hours. And I was like, she's the one. She looks like me too. So I was all scared she was going to steal my passport because I was projecting like my past trauma onto that. But actually, um, she didn't, and she just super inspired me. She was a fire dancer on Koh Phi Phi, and she was like hanging out with all these like Thai guys, and it was just like, it was just so like empowering to see somebody so free and like, you know, the exact thing I wasn't. And I was like, I'm going to do that one day. And then I didn't do it for a long time. I didn't pick up a hula hoop until later on, like a few years later. I finished traveling from Argentina and I got into a beauty pageant. And I was like, I need to lose weight because, you know, when you're traveling, you like gain all this weight. So I went into Winners and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I looked over and there was like this big weighted hula hoop. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get that. And it was like 8 pounds and it got me in like the best shape of my life, like getting this thing around me. And eventually I went and I took like a few classes where you like do the fire and stuff. And I was like, so I wasn't even scared. I was like, this is it. Yeah. And then, when was it? A few years ago, I think it was 2017. I went back to Thailand and I did this whole like Asia trip. I traveled for like a few months. This is one of the benefits of being, you know, your own boss. If you can work online, you can live this crazy lifestyle and still show up for work. So anyways, I went to Thailand and I went to Koh Phi Phi, and one night I just had my fire hoop and I was like, I just want to go up once. And the guys let me go up and they let me perform on the stage that this girl did, and they liked me. And then they asked me the next day if I wanted to practice with them. And then like I stayed there for a month performing every single day. And it was so like surreal and liberating. And I even did like my New Year's Eve party there. And yeah, so never give up on those dreams, as crazy as they may seem. So that actually happened. And now like I do fire dancing, like I do LED and stuff as well, but it's just not like a huge thing that happens all the time in Canada. There's a very short time span we can do it, but hey, it's unique and it's a specialized skill. So, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Whoa, that is seriously cool. I've never met a fire dancer or thrower.
There's a few videos on my Instagram, not very many, but I'm planning on doing one before it gets too cold. So you might see one soon.
Perfect. Well, we'll tag you in the caption.
Yeah.
For all the girls watching who feel that they're too young or too inexperienced to start a business, but they really want to try entrepreneurship, what would you tell them?
If you really do it for the right reasons, because there are really like, it's just, I'm so blown away by the youth of today because they really want to solve problems. And that's what entrepreneurism is. It's not just like creating a business. So that's like the difference. Like when you're an entrepreneur, you are realizing that there is a need that's not being met or not being met in a certain way, and you can fulfill that. And by knowing what that is and like your specialization and how you can serve these people and show up and make their life better or easier or whatever it is you're trying to solve for them, you should do it. Especially if it's like you feel passionate about it. Like when I start talking about food and like saving the planet, I get like so lit up, right? And so that's because it's not an easy task. And you know, it's not always profitable. So sometimes like you're investing your time or you're investing, it's like sweat equity, which means basically your time and your labor of love. And then sometimes like it's actually, it costs you money. Like there was a time where I had to support my business by doing other stuff, but it was worth it because it's what I want to do. And now I've led this crazy wild life that most people wouldn't live if they worked a 9 to 5, right? So do it if you want to, but don't do it because you have to. You know, it'll find you, your passion or whatever it is, and then you'll know. So that would be my advice.
Well, thank you. And when they do know and they do want to start a company, what do you think is the most important first step? I
wouldn't say like be too like strict. Like deadlines on your goals will make it more like, it will make it actually happen. You know, it's easy to be like, I want to do this, but then, and this is something I struggle with because I always get all these ideas and it's like, how do I implement them? How do I prioritize them? So having a plan and like action steps and like that vision of what it is that you want to be, because you're not going to get there right away, but if you hold on to that vision and that's what you're aligning with, not all these like little things that distract you, get in the way, like if you ultimately focus on that, it might not be like a week, it might not be like a month, it might be a year, it might be a few years, but you will eventually get there, if you put in the time and the effort and the passion. And just don't undersell yourself, because I find that women, we tend to do that just because, you know, it's been kind of programmed into us to like not want to be successful and stuff like that. And I struggled with that like forever. And so now I'm finally like, pay up. You know, you have to know your worth. It's not so much about selling, it's about building relationships. I find that will make you the most successful and the most happy too. So it's all about relationships, business. So
100%. I couldn't agree more. And what would you say are the top 3 skills someone needs to be a successful entrepreneur?
Passion, number one, because like I said, it's going to sometimes be blood, sweat, tears, loss, shame, whatever. So you really have to be passionate and purposeful in what you're doing. Like you have to have that driving reason beyond a shadow of a doubt that you want something, because it's not always going to be easy. So that would be number one. Commitment. You know, the goal ultimately is to not have your business run you. You know, it's an extension of your lifestyle. And like, that's one of the biggest traps that people get caught in. It's like, we're supporting ourselves. We're doing this thing just to support and survive rather than like having it support and live. So trying to build something that can be eventually run without you. You know, this whole like systematic franchise kind of concept. Doesn't, not that you have to build a franchise, but make it so that somebody else could do the work for you, so that you don't have to be physically present and you can be making some sort of passive income. And I guess passive income is be like the next one. That's like the goal, to be able to have that freedom that you don't necessarily have to be working all the time. You know, because what if you get sick, or what if you want to go on a trip, and what if you want to do something? So trying to do that. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. It doesn't have to mean you have to sign up with some company. Maybe you could just be selling some sort of content piece. And I'm like really guilty of this. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do this. So I'm in the process right now of like getting these things ready, so I can have my memberships and stuff. But that is like the ultimate goal, is like freedom when you're an entrepreneur. And a thriving, successful business that, you know, serves a purpose. That would be the other goal.
Both are equally as important.
Yes.
How do you address the gender gap in the entrepreneurial space?
Okay, well, I find that there is one, you know, but I feel that women are really stepping up, and especially younger generations. Like I see them speaking up for themselves, and maybe it's because they've seen it happen, or I don't know. It's just it's changing though, and it's women empowering other women rather than seeing everybody as competition. You know, that is like a huge driving force in this. When we work together, we're stronger. And so lifting each other up. And I also feel that things are kind of shifting in terms of how businesses are running. Like it's becoming a little more, I don't want to say feminine, like it, but it is more like, what would be the way to describe it? Before, everything was just very focused on work and very like rigid and stuff. And I feel that as more and more women are coming into the, you know, managerial, or they have more, you know, say in how businesses are run, it's becoming healthier. Like people are becoming more mindful and understanding and compassionate, and better programs to help people support them and stuff. So I find that women's role is more nurturing in the business. And I think that is like so important in today, in like every aspect of business and like politics and everything. So don't be afraid because you're a girl. I think it's really like there's there's a lot of opportunities now for women to step up because people are trying to support them because there has been this. So if you have that opportunity to go and apply for a grant or, apply for a loan or partner with somebody else, just being a woman, you actually hold a lot of power. So there's grants specifically for women in business. So if you're thinking about that, just go for it. So
that is some great information to share. I wasn't even aware of all of that, so thank you.
yeah.
And how do you adjust other forms of diversity in your workplace?
Okay, well, right now a lot of my focus is on food and people's diets, and a lot of people aren't aware of different types of foods and how it affects them, or different diets. And I'm a vegan, but I don't know only vegans, and people are very oh, I can't do that, it's too healthy, or they just have these kind of like concepts of what healthy food is, and they're really resistant to change. So rather than kind of challenging people, just I always find it's better to include them and like get them involved and inspire them. So make it interesting. If you make something interesting and fun, people are a lot more open to it. That's just my approach, because I like everything to be fun. So I'm like, but I find it works, right? Like who would rather do work when they're like enjoying themselves and like enjoying the company? And for me, that's one of the beautiful things. This is why no matter what it is, I don't always bring food, but I always try and feed people, because I feel like that's an and I love making people like happy, and I love when people love my food. It's like my guilty pleasure, but it makes me so happy to have them try something that's healthy and vegan, and they're like, oh my gosh. So whatever works for you, but that's how I handle diversity. I just feed people. No, I'm just kidding. No, but just always try and meet people kind of on their level, right? Like some people, they have a very strong perspective of something based on their experiences. And so it's like always try and like meet them where they are and just respond with compassion and like calmness rather than reacting. Because if you're solid and grounded, you're going to give that energy to them. And if you're super happy and inspired, you will somehow lift them up. So that's just put out there what you want back, basically.
Those are some very solid ideas. I've never heard anyone combine all of those, the having fun, food, and that's a great approach. As an entrepreneur, you face highs and lows, I'm sure. So what is the most disappointing or difficult part of entrepreneurship, and how do you get through those setbacks?
Just disappointment, I guess, like when you put a lot of time and energy into, let's say, an event or something, and you don't get any return on the investment, and you've spent like hundreds or even more, and then it's also like humiliation or like embarrassment. They're all just lessons though. So this is where it comes back to, if you are really passionate about it, you're not going to give up. And then there also comes the time when it's like, okay, you need to know when to give up a little bit, and like not necessarily give up, but like learn, because like every failure, if you can say failure, it's like a lesson. So your job is to learn from that and evaluate it. Like the more that you can get like numbers and stuff and figure out, like, or not even necessarily numbers, but just kind of values of stuff, so you can like measure what worked and what didn't. So it's like, was it this time or whatever, and always being able to shift. So having that flexibility, but still like focusing on the goal. I think that would be the best answer for that.
That is some great advice. And on the flip side of that, what has been your most satisfying moment in business?
Ooh. That's I love getting like awards or recognition, like being published and stuff. That's always fun. But really, I love when I can do some stuff for people's like very intimate occasions, and like being a part of that. Like that to me is like the ultimate, because it's like a memory that people are gonna hold on to forever, and it's like based on love. So that's just the very humanistic answer. Like I've catered my best friend's wedding and stuff. And to me, that was like the ultimate, you know, just to like make it all beautiful and stuff like that. But yeah, like in business, like, I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot. I've had, okay, like I was recently published, and that was something I wanted to do for like some of my recipes. When I was living in Panama and I was modeling, it was it was like fashion week, and like I was in this 8-page spread as a cover girl in this nationwide magazine. And then I worked for this other place, and all the CEOs were there that day, and they're like, oh, Angela, the model. And then also in fashion week, when you walked in, like I had no idea, but like there was this huge poster of me, like literally like 20 feet high. And I'm like, it was from the same spread, but it was this like sexy shoot, and I'm just like holding myself with this necklace, and I was like, oh my God, that's me. So just like things like that, where you're just like, wow. And then that whole night was like, we went out with all the models, and we were like dancing in Panama, and like it was just so surreal. Like, you know, you're in this other country and you're like living this crazy lifestyle, and you have to like pinch yourself. But still, like doing stuff where it's like I'm in like those intimate moments with my friends is also really good. So it's a little bit of both.
Whoa, I can imagine why those are satisfying. Congrats on publishing and all of those accomplishments. That's amazing. When you do have those big accomplishments, or even things like catering your best friend's wedding, how do you celebrate them?
With a day off afterwards. I guess I've like spent so much energy. Usually on days like, you know, when you put so much time and energy and like passion to something, or you're just like, I'm very high vibrational anyway. So when I get like super excited, it's like so intense. And then it's like, woo. So I just kind of like melt down. I might just like, you know, have like a spa day, or like just drink wine and lie down and watch movies. No, I never really watch movies, but maybe eat. Do some
Yeah,
fun.
all of your
Yeah.
vegan recipes.
Yes. It is important to set milestones though. So like sometimes like I'll reward myself with like a trip or something, you know. Not very often, not enough, but I do sometimes, and it's important that you do.
Well, it sounds like you've done some incredible traveling.
Yeah, I love it.
I think you touched on this a little before, but if you could go back in time to when you started as an entrepreneur and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say?
Mm. Whew. Man, there's like so much. Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it wrong. Don't do it like that. It was, for me, it was like a huge struggle when I first started. So, if you need to like do what you need to do in order to, you know, do the job, right? And do it within your own means. So rather than just quitting, you know, whatever is supporting you and just starting, make sure you have some sort of like preparatory plan. And, you know, if you need to get like a subsidiary income, try and do something that will either give you a lot of money in a short amount of time, or something that's very aligned, so that you can network through that, or like build your experience and something like that. So it's not like you're having like all these different lives, which is kind of what I did. And that's why I'm like this serial crazy entrepreneur that does everything, but it all blends together now. So, but it could have been a little more streamlined. And back to like the streamlining things, you know, even like invoicing, you know, now there's like an app for it. So whatever you can do to limit all the extra little things you do. Because like for me, for years, taxes were like, oh my God, like I just wouldn't do them for 2 years because it was so scary, all these freaking receipts and stuff. So whatever you can do to make all these little mundane tasks, you know, quicker and easier and more efficient, do it. And also delegate what you can do. I finally like have a virtual assistant, just to like help me with like little things. And sometimes even that stresses me out, because it's like I have to give her work and organize it, because I'm still not completely streamlined. So yeah, the streamlining and delegating, even if it's delegating to an app, just make it easier for you to focus on the thing that you're doing that like shines, right? Because like as an entrepreneur, you wear like 9 million hats, and you don't want to be stuck wearing the wrong hat for too long, because it makes you angry and you don't get to do the stuff that you're good at, right? So try and like focus.
Those are some really good points. Thank you. And the last question is, can you share a funny story from your career? It sounds like you have a million to choose from.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This one is actually hilarious, but very valuable to people. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, I'm always trying to improve my skill set or like, do my passion. So back in, I think it was 2017, I went back to Bali after that long trip because I'd found a place there called Sayuri Healing Foods, and I was obsessed with it. And then I signed up for the newsletter, and then I saw that they were doing this raw vegan chef training as a retreat, and I was like, oh my God, retreat, Bali, and raw vegan chef training. So I went, and it was 2 weeks intensive. Like we had really long days, like 14-hour days, and we are just making raw food, which is very labor intensive. Not so much like it's fun, but it's like you have to prepare everything because you have to soak the nuts and like all this crazy stuff. And it's so hot and like, with the like 14-hour time difference and stuff, it was exhausting. But I learned a lot. And it was really inspiring and a very valuable experience. And, one of the things that I do now, which is super sustainable and people should try doing it, is sprouting. So we sprouted mung beans there, and then oh my God, I can't even. So we sprouted mung beans, and then I was like eating some of them. And you know how like beans give you like flatulence or whatever, but it's like 10 times like worse because the nutrition in them, like everything doubles when you sprout it. So I ate them, and it was like I was walking and it was like echoing because it was so loud, and it was like a machine gun of like farts, like every time I took a step, and it was so embarrassing. It was like, and I was like, oh my God, it wasn't me. And then somebody told me afterwards, I know that actually happened. I was like, I want to die. Everybody like knew it was me because I walked around the corner and it was like this ripping sound. It was horrible. Anyways, I survived. And so did they. So they were really loud. And so anyways, what you're supposed to do if you never want to have this happen to you, I always peel my chickpeas now. So remove the skins on any beans. Okay. That's where the flatulence comes from. Don't do like me. So yeah.
That is the piece of advice you've shared this whole interview.
Yeah.
Very important to
Don't eat the skins. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is a good story to remember and to share. Oh my God.
I had a few, but I was like, I think I'll just go with that one. It's the least embarrassing. My funny ones are actually the most embarrassing because I almost died in the moment. And then once I survive, I'm like, I look back in retrospect, I'm like, that was pretty hilarious. It's just that it had to happen to me.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have anything else you want to add or any last piece of advice for the girls?
Well, I think that if you are out there and you're trying to, make a difference in the world and, positively impact the planet, like go for it. The world needs more, entrepreneurs and more people that are thinking about, creating the future, because that's what innovation does. And that's what entrepreneurs done. Like we're creating something out of nothing to fill a need. And there's a lot of need right now. Like there's more need than ever. And these are really weird and uncertain times, but this is like the biggest opportunity for change. So like step up and like do it. There's so much going on, and just do your research and find out what you need to do to make a difference in whatever area that you want to do, but do it because the world needs more women making an impact on this planet.
100%. And I do have one more bonus question.
Okay. Oh, I love bonuses.
Since you're a vegan chef, if you could have one meal or one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Everybody always does this to me, and it's so hard because I love everything.
Or maybe
it'd probably something chocolate, or I really like avocado. Like it mixes really well with stuff, and I really like nuts. Those are like my vices. So maybe I could combine all of them and make like raw vegan avocado brownies. That would be delicious.
Yeah.
Just eat that for the rest of my life.
Protein.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a really hard one because I love all food, but yeah, I like those. And then every other food basically that I can make into a delicious meal. Oh, another thing I want to leave you guys, if you guys, are into sustainability or, reducing your impact and stuff, you can follow Kindred Kitchens, which is my food business, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking classes and stuff like that. I already do live demos and like fun stuff. Like last weekend, I turned a pineapple into a bowl and I made a tropical island bowl, and it was all vegan and Caribbean style because Caravan is not in session or not in effect this year. So we celebrated with food, which is, what I do. So, so check it out, Kindred_Kitchens, if you're into food. And I also guide meditation. So if you want to start a practice, it's a really great way to help stay focused. And a lot of my meditations help people work through blocks and like find that focus with prompting questions. So that is angelaargentina.com. So yeah.
Awesome. We will tag both of those in the post on Instagram. Thank you so much for sharing all of your stories, especially that last one, and your advice. I can't wait to share this.
Thank you so much.